Alright, so gentlemen, lovers, I'm making this little video not just to have content on my channel after a while. Still working on things like animations, blah blah. Actually, I'm working on 3D stuff. I'll be doing animations soon, I hope. But I also have a theory about Tears of the Kingdom and why its lore doesn't make sense when you compare it to Breath of the Wild or the rest of the Legend of Zelda timeline. Let me explain. I've already typed this out on Twitter, so I'm just going to read off what I put here. First off, Fact 1. We know that in Tears of the Kingdom, all the Sheik attack is gone. Fact 2. We know that Tears of the Kingdom, and I should say it's now warning spoilers, so just stop listening here. But we know in Tears of the Kingdom that Zelda is the light dragon that's flying around with the other 3 dragons in Tears of the Kingdom. The light dragon did not exist in Breath of the Wild. 3. We know that some things have different names in Tears of the Kingdom than Breath of the Wild, like the mouse being known as Gloom. 4. Some pivotal things are missing from the game. And yes, I already said Sheik Attack, but some major bits of Sheik Attack are missing. But also things caused by that Sheik Attack. Like, for example, the pillars that the Guardians were around Hyrule Castle, that's gone. The hole in Mount Hibra is gone. And the Shrine of Resurrection is gone. I have a theory about this. First off, if events that happened in the past in Tears of the Kingdom are true, then there should at least be 2 Master Swords bouncing around in Time Breath of the Wild. And by 2, I mean the Light Dragon as well, because the Master Sword's embedded in its head in Tears of the Kingdom. So, I ask you, where's the Light Dragon? Here's my thought. First off, in the start of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda goes to the past, yeah? She literally does that minutes within the intro. Now, time travel is very iffy, to say the least. It's a hard tool to write around and use in storytelling, but one of the most common tropes in time travel is you go to the past, you do something, it messes with the future. Like, for example, a really good one is the Back to the Future franchise. When Mario goes to the past by accident, he accidentally takes his place as his father falling out the tree, and his mom falls in love with him, causing his brother, his sister, and himself to not exist in the present. And the whole movie's about him fixing that oopsie and returning to the present so he can exist. But even when he does get back to the present, he finds that his family's life has improved for the better. Like, his dad's a better job, the guy bullying his dad isn't bullying his dad anymore, his mom's nicer, he even gets the car he wanted. So that makes me think, oh, something like that happened in Tears of the Kingdom too. Let's walk through this. Let's say Zelda didn't go to the past, and this is the timeline of events. Rauru and Sonia still face off Ganondorf at that pass outside Gerudo Canyon. Ganondorf still swears fealty to Rauru to get closer with him. And Ganon still kills Sonia. Only, hold up, in that memory where Ganondorf kills Sonia, Zelda's there. Hell, he's impersonating Zelda to kill Sonia. Well, if Zelda's not there, then how does Sonia die? My theory is that Ganondorf impersonated Rauru in that sense, in that moment. Got Sonia along and killed him. And killed her. Killed Sonia. Now, since Zelda wasn't there, they couldn't do that clever will rewind recall attack to make the dagger fly back towards the assassin, meaning that it would have gone into Sonia's back and killed her. Ganon takes the stone, and Rauru comes in to see Ganon turn into the Demon King. Now keep that in mind. When Ganon took the stone, he turned to a Demon King. Keep that in mind. It's very important. So let's say, right then there, Ganondorf, pumped on power, sees the King of Hyrule and is like, you know what, I just killed the Queen. I can take this furry guy from the sky or whatever, this Zonai, and he rushes him and they fight. And somehow the fight ends up in the cavern under the palace. Maybe Ganon just knocks Rauru to the ground that hard. Maybe Rauru does that to Ganon, who knows? And they end up in the depths. And this is where it gets interesting. Rauru seals Ganondorf. Because he has to be sealed to start Tears of the Kingdom, because we see him sealed. Now let's pause for a second. Ganondorf has a secret stone by this point. Rauru still has his. So that's 2 stones. We know there are 4 more stones that go to the sages. 1 owned by Minoru. So that's like 7 total stones. But hold up. That doesn't quite add up. I'll explain why in a bit. If Rauru got surprised by Ganondorf and attacked instantly after Sonia's death, and he had no idea Ganondorf was going to do this because he accepted Ganondorf's truce, why would he give secret stones to the tribes of Hyrule? So it means we've got 4 secret stones in play somewhere in this original timeline. Well, Ganondorf is sealed by Rauru, and the Gerudo have no idea what happened to their king. Just that he went out on a mission to try to take Hyrule. Unlike what we see in Zelda's memories, the Gerudo did not get a secret stone and ally against their former leader. I mean, we see in the vision where Ganondorf is attacking from the past that the Gerudo are behind him 100%. Heck, one of them is playing food to control Mondola to attack. That should tell you something, that at this point the Gerudo are behind Ganondorf. But in Tears of the Kingdom's revised history, they are against Ganondorf already. But let's go back to this proposed original timeline. The Gerudo don't know what happened to the king, so they go about life as usual and have another kid, another boy. Now I know you're thinking, like, wait a minute, hold on. The Gerudo can't have another male Gerudo. They can only have one at a time, and Ganondorf is still technically alive under Hyrule Castle or wherever he's being sealed. Well, if you look at the original quote, it says that the Gerudo only can have a male Gerudo once every 100 years. It doesn't say only once the other one dies, only once 100 years. So it's possible there's more than one at a time. It's just the other one's really old and dies before the other one gets anywhere near adult age. Or it could be even dies before, because 100 years is a lot of time. I mean, even in the Zelda timeline, in Breath of the Wild, we can see people from 100 years ago are freaking ancient by the time Link wakes up. And there's very few of them at all, unless there's Zora. Anyway, if we follow that logic, let's say 100 years passed from when Ganondorf was born for the kingdom. It's in disarray. The secret stones are still held by the Zonai. But wait, the Zonai? Rauru was the last one. Now his sister Minoru also exists. And she has one too, remember? And the Temple of Time is where Link gets his. But I hear you saying, wait, isn't Link's Sonia's secret stone or Rauru's? Well, it can't be Rauru's. Zelda has that when she falls into the past. It can't be Sonia's because Ganondorf took that one. So it can't be any of the sages because they still have theirs. And it can't be Minoru's because she has hers in her mech. That means there's actually 8 secret stones. And that 8th stone is in the Temple of Time that the Zonai built. Interesting. Now let's say... Now, in Tears of the Kingdom, after the timeline alters, it's heavily implied that Zelda's the one that convinced Rauru to lift up the Temple of Time into the Great Sky Islands. But hey, wait a minute. The Great Sky Islands. If Zelda didn't go back to the past, those wouldn't have been lifted up, at least the ones on the Great Plateau, so the Temple of Time would still be on the Great Plateau. The Zonai one, at least. And what would be in that temple? Link's Secret Stone. Interesting, yes. Now, if Rauru was surprised by Ganondorf when he first killed Queen Sonia in the original timeline, that means those other 4 Secret Stones would probably be at the Temple of Time, which is where the one stone was held for Link. Now, I know what you're thinking. They would be in the Chamber of Sages at the Forgotten Temple, right? No. That temple was implied to have been built for the sages. So that room probably doesn't even exist in Breath of the Wild's timeline, the original timeline. After all, it also marks the locations of all the Tears of Zelda. So I'm guessing that will not there. At least that room in the Temple of Time. I mean, in the Forgotten Temple. What's more, Sonia's grave wouldn't exist either, at least not there, because, well, Rauru got attacked instantly instead of after a while Zelda and the sages did their best to prepare against Ganon. Now let's go back to Gerudo and say that 100 years passed since Ganondorf was born, so maybe like 64 years or so. 54 years, sorry, my math is off on Twitter. 54 years since Ganondorf was sealed. Why? Well, Ganon looks 45 to me in the game, so let's say he's 45. So, he looks 45, yeah, so it'd be 55 years. Yeah, 55 years later, another kid's born. Let's call him Dennis. And he's trained to lead the Gerudo, because that's tradition. And he does his thing, and he hears from his spies in Hyrule about the secret stones. Or maybe the Gerudo know about them, because, well, Ganon told him about them before he went off to try to take them or something. Who's to say? But anyway, the kid's raised to adulthood, and he finds out where the secret stones are being held. But wait, what about Minro? Well, Minro probably would be guarding them. She's the last Stone Knight, after all. So, Dennis goes after the stones until time. He manages to sneak in there. We know Gerudo can be very sneaky. After all, they're thieves of the desert. Or at least that's one of their original monikers. So, he sneaks in there, and he manages to snag one of the secret stones and get out of there before Minro can catch him. Alright, but what happens next? Well, remember I told you about the Demon King thing? How Ganon became the Demon King when he got his secret stone from Sonia? Well, pay attention here. This is very important. What if there's something special about the Gerudo male biology? Or maybe it's just the darkness in their hearts. But when they get a secret stone, the male, or partial darkness of heart, turns into a Demon King. After all, Ganondorf from Tears of the Kingdom, his Demon King form, looks very similar to Demise's form. They both fiery, glowing hair. They both have imposing muscular bodies. And they both are topless, so that could be just coincidental. So let's say Dennis becomes Demise, a Demon King, after he gets the secret stone that would have been Link's from the Zonai Temple of Time. And he causes the whole disaster before Skyloft. Wait, the disaster before Skyloft? Yes. I'm saying Demise was a Gerudo who got a secret stone. And that he went on to cause the chaos in Hyrule before Hylia lifted the island up. But wait, it's only after Skyloft's put back down that Hyrule's founded, isn't it? Not necessarily. In Skyward Sword, we see plenty of evidence that at least some civilization existed before Skyloft was put back down. Hell, the Forgotten Temple, the Sealed Temple itself is proof enough of that. Half of it's on Skyloft and the other half's on the ground. Someone built that. It didn't just into being. I mean, it could have with the goddess's lore, but let's leave that out of this for now. There's a cistern, temples, there's factories, ships, all sorts of ruins on the surface of Hyrule, or the land that the lands below in Skyward Sword. I'm saying those are Zonai, and those are from before Skyloft. I mean, obviously they are, but I think that's from the first Kingdom of Hyrule. After all, it already has temple time, and it has another thing that Zonai is known for: robots. Yes. And it's got one, by far the most advanced tech that we see in most Zelda games. I mean, we have robots, we have time traveling stones. Time traveling stones? That sounds familiar, but I don't think they're the same stuff that the secret stones are made of, because in game we hear they come from the sky, while the time shift stones come from the earth. At best, they could be just like they have a similar type of ore, just not as strong, because from what I can tell, they don't really hold their time shift power very long, do they? I mean, if they did, Link would be able to activate them all at once and revert the desert back into an ocean and the factory back into production. But it can only be one stone at a time. But continuing where I was, so Hylia sees Demise, formerly Dennis of the Gerudo, destroying her people. But wait, why didn't she step in when Ganondorf did his thing before that? Well, maybe she was just not paying attention. I mean, why would the gods interfere in the acts of men? Oh wait, this one's getting kind of powerful. Oh wait, this one's saying for the Triforce. Oh fuck, and they get that. We're screwed. She might not have even known that Ganondorf took the Secret Stone the first time, before Dennis, because that was a relatively short fight in this proposed timeline. After all, I'm saying that Raru sealed Ganon instantly after he became a Demon King, so there wasn't really need for Hylia to get involved. But wait, then why didn't Demise get sealed? Oh, he did, didn't he? He got sealed, too. Matter of fact, you could consider he got sealed 3 ways. He got sealed into the Forgotten One, the Nameless One's body. The Nameless One got sealed into the ground. And if that was enough, we dropped the freaking Skyloft temple onto him, too. Right before his little minion used the Triforce to bring him back to life. So, think about it like that. He did get sealed, but it was Hylia who did it, because, well, what about Minru? She would be still around, right? Well, that's questionable, because, again, it's been like 55 years or so since events of the past in Tears of the Kingdom. So, it could be possible that she's dead. And she's, as far as we know, the last Zonai. But what about the ancient hero? The ancient Zonai hero that we get the doodad that turns Link into. The doodad turns Link into the ancient hero after completing all the Shrines of Light in Tears of the Kingdom. Well, it's called the Ancient Hero, and it was found in relation to the Shrines of Light, so it could have been ancient by Raru standards. So it could have been really freaking old. It could have been a Zonai way before any of this happened. So let's put that on the table. Put that on a shelf for now. And forget about it for a bit. Now, events of Skyward Sword happen as they do in the game, and Demise is eventually destroyed. But wait, then we have an issue of Demise's Secret Stone, assuming that he was originally a Gerudo who took one. Well, could just went back to the royal family or something. But now we got, let's see, the 4 secret stones that would have been for the sages, Demise's stone, so that's 6 stones. I mean, how many sages you save in Ocarina of Time? 1, the Forest Temple, 2, the Fire Temple, 3, the Water Temple, 4, the Shadow Temple, 5, the Spirit Temple. 6. Zelda. Pretty sure I'm not forgetting a temple. Though, actually, yes, I am. The Light Temple, where Raru just gives you an emblem. That Raru, not the Zonai one. And that brings up a question. What are these emblems? Do I see it? Those are the secret stones. Maybe at some point they got broken apart and remade into these discs. I mean, it makes sense. The sages and Tears of the Kingdom get the stones. Why wouldn't the sages from Ocarina of Time? After all, they had to steal another Ganon, who was the actual reincarnation of Demise. That makes sense. Though, are still missing one secret stone. Though it could have been just shattered when linked via Demise and Skyward Sword. We know they can break after all, right? Oh, can they? That's never been established. Theory for another day. Though it is possible that stone was used to make the hat in Minish Cap, and that's how Bigatti got his powers. But hold that thought. Let's get back to what. So, timelines, split, child timeline, adult timeline, dead timeline, and reconvene, not in Breath of the Wild, but in the Calamity 1,000 years before Breath of the Wild. We know what happens there. A hero and the princess come together with the Sheik attack to seal the Calamity. But wait. The Sheik attack. Again, that's missing from Breath of the Wild. Now, this is where things get a bit interesting. Let me go right back to the start of his timeline. But this time, what happens after Zelda comes in. Zelda comes in, she warns Rauru and Sonia what's going to happen. She interferes with the assassination tip on Sonia. And Ganondorf decides to go instead of stay and fight because, well, instead of just Rauru there's that annoying princess. Why didn't he just kill Zelda when he killed Sonia? Well, she wasn't a threat to him per se, but when Rauru showed up, yeah, she might make things a bit more icky. Zelda's the one that told Rauru to raise the temple. Time. To the sky. So that secret stone's out of play now. And the 4 secret stones are given to the sages. Those are out of play now. Now we don't know what happens to those stones after events of Ganon getting sealing in the altered timeline. Except for the one in the Temple of Time. That one's still up in the sky. And a temple that wasn't there before. But what happened to the original Temple of Time, I hear you ask? Well, from the Zelda books, we hear that Rauru of Ocarina of Time built his Temple of Time atop where the Master Sword was. What if that's just simply the truth of it? He just rebuilt the Temple of Time from the Zonai period in the original timeline. Maybe it fell into ruin and got rebuilt. We see it can fall apart, as Breath of the Wild shows. And it's not the same Temple of Time as went from Skyloft either. Skyward. Okay, I hear you say, but how does this clear up some of the issues? Well, let's get back to the altered timeline. Zelda does her thing, she gets the Master Sword, she turns into a dragon. That takes her secret stone out of play. So there's no way Link can take it because it's in her. There's no way he can take the sages stones, those go to the sages. And are up in their respective temples. He can't take Mineru's, that's down in her workshop in her mech, right? Well, no, it's in her mask thingy they find in the floating island over the jungle region, but beside the point. So again, that leaves one stone that can't be for any of these. So that one had to always be in the Temple of Time. Thus proving my theory that that one turned some Guru into Demise in the original timeline. But since the temple is lifted, higher than Guru can freaking go, Demise never existed in Tears of the Kingdom's altered timeline. Or at least, maybe he didn't. It's still possible he did in some capacity. After all, Skywalk clearly still happened because we get the Skyward Sword. But wait, How can we have the Skyward Sword if we have the Master Sword? The Skyward Sword was turned into the Master Sword in Skyward Sword. That would clear up that little plot hole. And unlike most of the Easter egg items from previous games you can find Tears of the Kingdom, this one is given to you via a quest, a special quest by the goddess statue. So, saying that Demise never existed would explain why the sword is still there as the goddess sword. But then where did the Master Sword come from? Well, some people theorize. Well, let's look at Wind Waker for a second. That Master Sword is not the same Master Sword as we're used to in the series. It's got a wildly different handle, for one, and it's found under Hyrule Castle as opposed to the Temple of Time or in the woods. And we know that only a hero can take the sword, so it's possible that was just a remake. Still just powerful, and it also operates on different rules, as in it needs 2 sages praying to it for it to work. So that sword suggests that the sword in Tears of the Kingdom, the Master Sword you get there, is a remake. It's not the same Master Sword that Link started with. But then, how would Link remember any of this from the previous timeline? Well, maybe it's a side effect of being touched by Rauru, who had also had his own secret stone. Maybe it's a side effect of collecting his secret stone before sending the Master Sword to the past. That Master Sword is the original one from the timeline where Demise gets destroyed. But I'll explain that when I get to more modern events. Back to the Calamity. We know what happens. The Sheik attack, it helps aid the fight, yada yada yada. But wait. What if that fight wasn't as bad? Think about it. In Tears of the Kingdom, when Zelda goes back, instead of Rauru taking on Ganondorf alone, the sages are there with Zelda to try to help with the fight. I mean, Ganon might be weaker, which means that they might need less firepower to take him down if he ever breaks the seal. In an altered timeline. Let's go over this altered timeline for a minute here. In the altered timelines, Zelda causes, in this timeline, let's say that Dennis never gets a secret stone, but the Gerudo are way more wary of their boys. After all, they know that one will return to a Demon King in this altered timeline. There's a good chance the others will too. And we see how the Gerudo see their males in Breath of the Wild after Ganondorf first appears. They're like, we can't believe he reincarnated as one of our tribe. Urbosa says something like that in one of the flashback memories of Link's. So let's say that in the altered timeline, the Gerudo are way more careful of their kids and try to push them away from trying to claim power. Or just try to avoid having boys altogether. Don't ask me how, it's kind of dark. So, what about events of Ocarina? Does that still happen? It could. But it'd be a lot more tricky because there wouldn't be any sage emblems. Though to be honest, I always thought those things were pretty much useless in the game. I mean, they're just pretty well things that you keep on your in-game HUD. And wait, Link's the one that collects those, not the sages themselves. Maybe my theory's falling apart here, but let's roll with it. The sages never actually get the stones, so maybe those weren't the goal. Maybe the goal was to free the sages in that game. And that those emblems are just a little handy-dandy I did it thing. Like a check mark in a box. So, the events of that game still happen after all. The Triforce is still there. The Triforce. Yeah, Triforce. Why wasn't it shown in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, let's back it up again. Demise got his power with the Secret Stone, and through it somehow he learns of, probably through conquest or through torture of the Triforce. And this is where things get a bit Helios like, oh shit, this guy's getting too strong. and does her thing to him and takes the Triforce with her. But in this altered timeline, there'd be no need to do that. Triforce sits right where it is, wherever it was for Hylia took it, and Hylia herself might not even enter into the royal bloodline. I mean, do you recall seeing Zelda doing sealing in Tears of the Kingdom? Why didn't she help seal Ganon, Demon King Ganon, with Rauru? Maybe she couldn't. Or maybe she was too weak, who knows. It's a little bit of a gray area that I cannot address. But let's keep moving here, shall we? Now we know that it's possible that the emblems might be the Secret Stones, it might not. 6-6. Makes sense, but in this altered timeline, part of me wonders how I should be drawing a graph here. Maybe I'll do that if I redo this video. Or maybe some theorists will do it when they see this video, like, hey, he's onto something. But anyway, the way I see it, yes. So let's say again, due to Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda's actions in the past is weaker, because he had to deal with not just Rauru this time, but the sages as well, even though he didn't look that much weaker when you fight him. Anyway, well, in the memory I should say. So, when Calamity Ganon first breaks out 1,000 years before Breath of the Wild, the princess and the hero and the Shikatek all come out and try to stop him. Now here's the big question. What happens to that tech? It's gone in Tears of the Kingdom. It's there in Breath of the Wild. The official interview says it just disappears for no reason, and people assume it just got dismantled and all the healing studs and don't know what happened. I don't buy that. It seems too hand-wavy, too, like, we didn't think about it. But think of it this way. What if, in the altered timeline, the ancient calamity didn't happen? Well, there'd be no need for a Shikatek then. No towers, no shrines, no mechs, no guardians, no nothing. Just peace. Then the calamity still happens 100 years ago. But wait, if there's no guardians, then how does Hyrule get destroyed? Well, there's an enemy in Tears of the Kingdom that isn't in Breath of the Wild. The Gleeok. And I'm not sure if you face them, but they're kind of strong. Like, almost as strong as the Guardians. So I'm guessing maybe something with the timeline being altered made the Gleeok survive up to this point. And they are the ones that destroyed the castle town and most of Hyrule instead of the Guardians. I mean, if some are... They're slower, but... Or pretty menacing. I don't know if I find them easier to fight, but that could just be me. And Link still gets hurt, and Zelda Link can start sealing powers, and all that fun stuff happens. But wait. How does Link recover? If there's no Shikatek, there's no Shrine of Resurrection. Well, that's one of the big plot holes in my theory here, and in the lore itself. And even if you say it was there, and the calamity did happen 1,000 years ago, the first one is, the shrine's still missing, and all Shikatek's still missing. And I get dismantling the towers, maybe I get dismantling the Guardian certainly, but dismantling the Shrine of Resurrection, I don't know about you, but that seems like an awfully handy thing to have around. What if the princess gets sick? What if someone gets mortally wounded that is a good person? Or what if the bad guys find out about it and use it to resurrect their evil ruler? Like maybe Yiga Clan use it to resurrect a famous Yiga warrior or something. But it's gone now. Maybe it's to prevent resurrection of Yiga warriors, maybe. That does kind of make sense, but I don't buy it. Because it looks like there's no sign, none of the shrines ever being there in that cave in Tears of the Kingdom. It's just a normal cave. My theory is that it never was there. But then, how about the Guardians? What about the tapestry? Tapestry? Yes, that tapestry. That famous one we see all over the place in Breath of the Wild, and we still see in Tears of the Kingdom in the Sheikah leader's house. That tapestry. The one showing all the Guardians, all the divine beasts, towers, and the ancient hero and the ancient princess find Calamity Ganon. Oops. How can that exist? Oh, and wait, is it in the Sheikah house, Lear's house, or is it in the schoolhouse? Well, let's see. It's possible that the calamity 1,000 years ago did happen, but something made it so they didn't need the Sheikah tech anymore. Maybe they thought, oh, he broke free. Well, let's hope this doesn't happen again, and buries all the Sheikah tech again. But then why wouldn't there be a shrine resurrection? I just keep coming back to this point. I don't know. It's a plot hole in my theory. It's a plot hole in everyone's theory. Where is the shrine of resurrection? I mean, you can explain away the missing guardians and the Sheikah towers and the divine beasts are still buried in the ground and never got excavated in the altered timeline. But where is the shrine of resurrection? That one you still enter into the cave for. That one should still be there. I don't know. All you find is a hole, a little Iga hideout, and a hot spring. Maybe the hot spring was how Link survived from his injuries from when Calamity broke out. I don't know. If you have a better idea there, please put in the comments below. I'm here with a humble man, and I don't know everything. But this is what I'm figuring out, piecing things together. And I don't like hand waving this away because I'm a perfectionist, and this annoys me. Where is the Sheikah tech? Well, there's also another thing that annoys me. Where's the hole in Mount Hebra? In Breath of the Wild, there's this big honking chunk of the mountain missing. Most likely from a laser fired by one of the divine beasts. It's fucking gone, Tears of the Kingdom. Now I get it. Many years have passed. Maybe the mountain collapsed and filled in the gap. Wouldn't it have done that during the 100 years since the calamity started in Breath of the Wild? I mean, it's pretty precarious looking. It's like, at least, I gotta check real quick here. Yeah, right here. If I can just... I'm doing this on the fly, folks. How am I going to do this? I know. Right here. This image from Reddit. You see clearly that there's a hole in Hebra Mountain. It's like a third of the mountain is just gone. But in Tears of the Kingdom, that hole is gone. Filled in, or caved in, or whatever. That's always bugged me. It's like, why? Where'd it go? What happened? They never address it? They never even mention it. But what if it was never there to begin with? In the altered timeline, that is. That supports the theory that the divine beasts were never dug up, because if they never dug up, then the laser would never been fired, and the laser would never been fired, the mountain would never took damage. Okay, I can see where this is going. But still doesn't explain why the shrine of resurrection is gone. Or why Zelda didn't dig up the divine beast 100 years ago. Maybe she just simply didn't find him in that reality. But wait, no, that doesn't work because we have one guardian still around in Tears of the Kingdom. The one on top of the Ancient Tech Lab. And we still have some Sheikah tech. Like the tiny itty bit of it in how was it called? The town that you enter into after you drop out of the Sky Islands. Give me a minute. Let me just Google his name real quick. No. Lookout Landing, that's it. There's some Shikatech there. Could that be a sign that they just dismantled it? Well, then why the surveillance towers that you launch up in Tears of the Kingdom to refill your map? Maybe they only found one Guardian and very little Shikatech. Could also be that Shika Shrines never existed. How can that be? Well, we know from the Shrines of Light that Link gathers these orbs of light to purify himself and get to the statues to give him health and stamina. Just like he does with the orbs he gets from the Sheikah Shrines. Well, those orbs of light and those orbs from the Sheikah Shrines are the same orbs. Could explain why the Sheikah Shrines aren't there and instead we got the Shrines of Light. Maybe the Sheikah found the Shrines of Light, dismantled them, used their parts to build their shrines. Okay, that's all them being gone Tears of the Kingdom in an Ultra Timeline. In the Ultra Timeline, the Sheikah never did that, and they stayed put. Maybe through Zelda's meddling in the past, the present Hyruleans have a better understanding of what the Zonai were and more of their history. They certainly have more of their ruins, so maybe you have a better understanding of their stuff and better respect for it, so they know better than to mess with it. Like, oh, what's this? Shikatech? No, oh, what's this? Zonai Tech? I'm going to repurpose this. Instead, it was like, oh, Zonai Tech? I got to preserve this. It's a possibility. But what about the rest of the Sky Islands you find in Tears of the Kingdom? And they could have always been up there. There is a theory that a lot of the stuff up in the sky over Hyrule was hidden by a magical force field thingy in Breath of the Wild. I mean, you see a dragon kind of disappear into a ripple. So it could be they always were there. Could be, but it feels a little unsatisfying. But let's just roll with that for now, because that seems to be established fact. But we know the Temple of Time, the Zonai Temple of Time, wasn't. That was only raised because, again, it implied that Zelda told Robert to raise that. So that wasn't up there. So again, that would mean that Secret Stone that was in there could be stolen if it was on the ground. See what I'm getting at here? Though that does have an icky implication that Demise's curse never took effect, because if he never got a Secret Stone, then he would never become Demise. I mean, Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time could still have done all his things, but without Demise, then how do we have a breach of Demise in Tears of the Kingdom? Yeah. That one I find hard to dance around and answer. I actually don't really have an answer for why that location still exists in the Ultra Timeline. I mean, in Breath of the Wild, you could say that's where Dennis you put his Secret Stone in his head and became the Demon King, and that's why the line got breached. But in Tears of the Kingdom, if Dennis and Demise never existed, then how is the breach of Demise still there? Another plot hole in my theory. Well, could be another demon showed up there. I mean, we know that the Demon Kings aren't the only demons. And another demon showed up and they call it strong and said, oh, you go there, you face the demon that calls that king its lair. It's your demise is there. So we'll call it the breach of demise or something. I don't know. It's best hand wavy I can do for that. I don't like it, but it's best I've got. And I still don't have an explanation to why to Link recovering if there was no Shrine of Resurrection. Except I do have a theory. It's not great, but it's the best I've got. We know from Ocarina of Time the Master Sword can seal Link. After all, it sealed him for 7 years till he was an adult to wield it properly. What if it's just sealed him again in the Lost Woods, in the Ultra Timeline? Well, that wouldn't quite work because he'd be 118 instead of just 18 when he wakes up. Because we know for a fact in Ocarina of Time, Link ages up when he is sealed. Heck, that's why he's sealed, so he can age. I don't know, maybe if he pulls a string or something. I don't know. It's the best I've got. Literally the best I've got. Or, wait. Zelda had awakened her sealing powers by then. She was growing weaker by the time climbed again and started breaking free at the start of Breath of the Wild. What if she sealed Link in the altered timeline? Maybe she sealed him with the Master Sword so he'd heal. But wait, what about the Sheik attack then? How you take on Ganon, climbed again, Breath of the Wild without the Sheik attack? Answer that? Ask the speedrunners. But how does Link have enough stamina and hearts to pull a sword if he can't access the orbs because they're in the Shrines of Light? Instead of the Sheikah shrines. I don't know. He didn't seem have any problem pulling it in earlier games. I think it's just a hand wavy thing we did to be like, we need to make sure the player doesn't get one of the best weapons in the game too early. But no, it's established that he needs to be strong enough to do it. Sure, maybe he was. I mean, maybe he wasn't as hurt as he was in the original timeline. He was able to just pull the sword just fine, go again, climb again, and take him down. And things have progressed to the start of Tears of the Kingdom in the altered timeline. Except, this time when Zelda's sent to the past, she's sent to a different time of legend with Waru the Zonai. And like, wait, what? How? We're operating on Breath of the Wild. We're operating on Back to the Future timeline here. You see, when Marty McFly goes back to the present in 1985, after being in 1955, well, there's no sign of the Marty that would have been around from that version in 1985. There's even a comic book about him worrying if he's the real Marty McFly and what happens to the other ones that would have been where he is. He has his memories of his reality, which back when his life was crummy, but now he's living in a different version of reality. What happened to that version's Marty McFly? That's what I think happened to this version's of Zelda's, because that version of Marty McFly had memories that the one who time traveled didn't. After all, he grew up with this bear family. He probably had a better childhood and everything. So I propose that the Zelda that went back in time in this altered timeline's start of Tears of the Kingdom went off to a different reality's past and caused changes in that one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the multiverse theory. Yes. And I could just stay here for hours and hours and hours and hours explaining each and every altercation that could have happened or possibly happened by Zelda going back in time at the start of Tears of the Kingdom over and over and over, and all the different realities that could branch from her messing it with the past each time she goes back. The problem is that the Zelda that travels back doesn't return to where she started. But wait. Here's another thing. How does Link remember any of this? Well, I mean, his time, Chamber of Resurrection, all that stuff. Well, they would say he does. If Zelda still fell, if the calamity of 1,000 years ago still happened, if Zelda still fell into the past, the Secret Stone, and if everything that happened in Breath of the Wild still happened, then Link's memories would be pretty much the same. Minus the Sheikah tech. Ooh. And that probably is why there's any reaction from him from seeing that the shrine's gone, or anyone mentioning the shrine's gone. Also, I feel like there's more to this I'm not considering though, which is kind of nagging at me. But yes. That's how I figure it works. Could also explain why, well, how the lightning helm got stolen again in Tears of the Kingdom. And why, I forget her name, currently you're the Gerudo felt insecure about herself despite proving herself before during the events of Breath of the Wild. But that also means that if the sacred beasts never exist, were never dug up, that means that Urbosa, Rivali, Garuk, and Minda never died to the blights. Except maybe they did. You see, if I can pull upon Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, I know it's not technically canon, but in that one, we see that it's still possible for the sages to die, and they almost did. I mean, we could see that the mouse could easily copy their forms and fight as them. And it's been theorized that the blights we fight in Breath of the Wild are just the sages' bodies completely corrupted by malice, which I buy. So it's probably that they still die without the beasts. But yes, I think I've covered all the bases that I can cover. So in summary, the reason why the lore doesn't match, the lore of Tears of the Kingdom doesn't match Breath of the Wild or any other part of the timeline is because Zelda went to the past and screwed with time. We've seen this type of thing happen before. But wait, I hear you cry out. Hold it right there, buddy boo. Aren't you forgetting something? Ocarina of Time, the windmill. The only reason that the Windmill Man knows the song Storms is because Link went back to the past to play it before him. So the Windmill Man can teach it to Link in the future. So Link can teach it to the Windmill Man in the past. That's proof of causality time travel here. Like, what happened in the past always happens. Well, I argue that's not true. Because we know in Skyward Sword, the Thunder Dragon's dead as a doornail when you first find him. But then by using the magic of the Time Shift Stones, you can give a sick Thunder Dragon a fruit of life that you grew in a tree of life that you plant in the past of the Sealed Temple, which turns into a full-grown tree of life in the present that you can feed to the Thunder Dragon in the area affected by the Time Shift Stone, which makes him alive in the present. Weird, right? So that proves that Hyrule's timeline can be altered by changing things in the past. So in conclusion, yes, the reason why Tears of the Kingdom's lore seems to make no fucking sense is because Zelda mucked with the timeline. That's all I had to say. I hope you enjoyed this little theory video. Toodaloo!